Are you concerned about all this corruption being misgendered as conspiracies? Well, don't you worry. Sit back, relax, and join in the conversation as we talk with today's guest. Welcome to another LSB Film Productions podcast with your host, Chris Brooks.
Hello and welcome to the channel. Slightly different now. I'm interviewing two faceless characters, but they're faceless for a good reason, so I'll let them off. And tonight we're talking with Alex and Carl, and they're both part of the Hornseywood Academy. And basically, they want to spread awareness about how things actually work, where people use words which they don't realize the connotations, because we function in a lawful society, as in sovereign people, but the powers that be have twisted it, and legal is all about legalese and word traps. And yeah, so welcome to the show.
Thank you. How you doing? You well?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. You've got a good voice. You could do voiceover work.
Thank you. A lot of people tell me that. I did work in a music studio as well. So.
Oh, cool. I've got guitars at the wall.
Yeah. When you're ready, let's link up. Definitely.
Yeah, wicked. Yeah,
many a night I fell asleep listening to Carl's voice.
Yeah. Perhaps you should do things like hypnotherapy tracks.
Probably. I mean, you'll have to write some lyrics, and I think we can do a joint on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
that'd be cool. Yeah. Right. So, where do we begin then? Who's taking the floor?
Carl.
Where? I mean, like, basically, all right. Mick got in touch with me to get in touch with you. But why? What was the reason he got in touch with you? For us to speak. Why was that? What did he want you to speak to me about in a certain respect?
No, you would have to ask him that. He just gave me your number and said he'd be interesting to talk to.
Okay, so let's start it here. Do you understand English grammar?
I believe so, to a point. I'm certainly no what's the word? I'm no
grammar teacher.
Yeah,
I'm no connoisseur in it, but I can get by.
No, that's fine. It's very basic. This is the thing. And this is what's happening. The problem with it is that we've been deceived with our own English language, basically. Now, most people don't realize, okay, you see my name on the screen. What does that say?
One dash. Is that a dash?
That's okay.
One dash Hornseywood.
Perfect. So you said the word Hornseywood. Perfect. And that's written in capital letters.
So corporate.
Perfect. It's not corporate. Don't go there yet. This is where people jump ahead, do you see, without understanding the foundation first. Okay. And this is where it comes back to the language, where people want to push under the carpet. And it's very important. This is the main thing we're looking at here. So you said Hornseywood. Now, my question to you is, what language are you reading and speaking that as?
I would have to go with English. Perfect.
Yeah, it's very straight, simple, forward. There's no trickery. And this is the problem with the legal. Everybody wants to jump in and go, oh, yeah, legal this, legal this. Yeah, we're dealing with English here. So you just said English. Now, within the whole English language, that can only be read and seen as an acronym. And you know what an acronym is?
Yes.
Could you give me an example of one?
An acronym is something like, well, you put me on the spot now.
I'm good at doing it.
Mine's gone blank. An acronym.
Okay, let's look at do you know what BOGOF is?
Buy one, get one free.
Perfect. There's your acronym. There's one acronym.
Right, okay.
Do you know what a PIN is?
No.
Personal identification number. Yeah.
LOL.
Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
LOL. Laugh out
loud, or lots of love.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. Old school vibes there. My boss asked me. Yep, go on.
Now, you see with LOL, Lol, you can say it as a word, but it's just really three letters, really. So that would be seen as an initialism, like BBC or QED. It doesn't actually spell out a word. It's an initialism because BBC isn't a word, whereas Bogoff, you can say it as a word.
Yeah.
Do you see? And this is the problem, because now the only other language we've got in the history of language that uses the capital letter word system is sign language.
Okay.
They're the only two languages we've got on the face of the earth that uses the capital letter word system. Now, if you said Hornsey Wood and you told me it was English and you understand acronyms, if you can't tell me what the acronym is of Hornsey Wood, that deems you as an illiterate person.
Right, okay.
This is what they're doing to us with our own English language. Do you see? This is the foundation layer of what we've got to understand. Now, when you look at your name on your passport, your driving license, your birth certificate, and all, most of your identification, your bills, your name's written in capital letters.
Correct.
Now, that can only be an acronym or sign language within the two languages we've got on the face of the earth. Which one are you using? Which one are you using? That's the question. But you're not asking that question to the authorities or the people or the companies that's giving it to you.
No.
Do you see? You're not asking the question. This is what's getting people into the problems. And they still go and write these legal letters doing the same thing. You can't go writing legal letters, writing acronyms, and you don't understand the definition of the words, even if they're in the dictionary of the legal books. So now when we come back to the other two ways you can use, you said one earlier on, it's company titles. Or the other one is the legal words in the dictionaries of the Law Society's textbooks, which is legalese.
Yep.
Yeah. But they're not languages.
No.
So how can you talk about legal and anything like that as a language when they're not even recognized as a language in any of the different jurisdictions of languages we've got?
Yeah. No,
it cannot exist. So we have to look at English or sign language. That's the first thing we've got to do. Now, if you can't tell me what the acronym of Hornsey Wood is, the rest of the conversation is irrelevant. Do you see? Yeah. That's your quick 20-minute program done in the space of 5 minutes in a certain respect.
So what is Hornsey Wood an acronym of then?
It's not. It's a trademark.
Right, okay.
Do you see? So
a trademark like a corporation?
Well, no, a trademark is a patent. A trademark is a patented design.
Right, okay.
So I'm putting letters of an alphabet together as a design to create that word. It's like Nike. Nike, Nike, but then they put a tick with it. That's it. That's their logo. It's a trademark. You go and try and use that, people are going to come after you for millions. This is the thing. This is the beauty and the power of what we've done with claiming the name. Let me ask you a question, Chris. Show me a lawful certificate for your name.
Lawful certificate? I would just do an autograph like VC, all lowercase, Chris Brooks.
But that's not a lawful certificate for your name. Show me a lawful certificate where you can give me identification as a lawful name for yourself.
It would just have to be my Christopher Brooks.
No, but where's the certificate to show me that? Lawfully.
Certificate? Oh,
that's a legal document.
Well, I guess it doesn't exist then.
It does. But we don't get it. Because the problem is our parents gave it away when we was born. They didn't give us the lawful certificate. They gave it to the jurisdiction of the beneficiary of the birth registrar.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So they took that document. They extracted information off that document, put it onto one of their documents called the particulars of birth form or the birth particulars form, and they superimpose that onto a security instrument, which is known as a banknote. And they gave it to you and classed that as a birth certificate. Whereas on the document, it doesn't say anywhere on it, birth certificate, nowhere at all.
No.
It's called a certified copy of an entry.
Right, okay.
You see, so what was they entering the name into? They was entering it into the jurisdiction of United Kingdom, which United Kingdom is a limited company.
Yeah.
Do you see? So everybody who's been entered into United Kingdom Limited is now a sub-company under United Kingdom Limited, and you're running around, we all are, or some of us were running around acting as an implied company. That's why our names are written as capital letters. So a company can do another contract with a company because that's contract law.
Yeah.
Do you see?
Yeah.
Two of the same kind.
This is
So
it.
basically, your birth certificate is a form of currency that they use.
Well, it is. It is. It's a share document, but it's the share document that you can order to go and draw from if you know how to do it. And this is what we're learning to do.
Right. Okay.
Do you see?
I've heard that your national insurance number is actually a government bank account.
Yeah. All your accounts are. All your accounts, your passport account, your birth certificates accounts, all of the accounts are, do you see? But the problem is they belong to an implied company.
Yeah.
You don't own that company. So why are you paying the bills for a company that you don't own? You wouldn't go down to McDonald's and pay their gas bill.
No.
There you go. But you would do it for Chris, because that's the name they've written on a document and given to you and said that's your name when you don't hold a lawful document to prove your name.
You've got to hand it to them. They're crafty bastards, aren't they?
They are. It's very clever. Very clever. The reason being is because they outed slavery back in 1834. And they wanted to make everybody slaves, so they brought in the birth certificate in 1836 and burnt down the patent office in America in the same year to lose all the documentation. So everybody now had to go and get a birth certificate, because before
is that the same? Is that the same with your death certificate?
Yeah, it's the same document. It's just a share certificate.
Yeah.
You'll notice at the bottom of it, I mean, we're calling it a birth certificate for ease of understanding. It is called a certified copy of an entry. And you'll notice at the bottom of it that it says, warning, a certificate is not proof of identity. Now, please tell me how we're running around with a certified copy of an entry that says, warning, a certificate is not evidence of identity our entire lives, and setting everything up with this document as the foundation, and it's not even evidence of identity. And everything on it, I don't know if you know, because you mentioned legal earlier. Are you aware of the four corners rule?
Yes, if it's in, that means it's not on the page. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, so
like
anything,
like even the judge sits in a box.
Yeah. Sign in a box. Anything. A good way for you to be able to tell. Carl said earlier, can you produce a lawful certificate for your name? A good way for you to be able to use a rule of thumb to determine whether it's a lawful or a legal document is this. A legal document, all legal documents will have boxes on them, even if it's reverse block or funny little lines, whatever, they will have boxes all over them. To be a lawful document under the four corners rule, you must be able to study to all four corners of the document, examine to all four corners. If you're hitting a box, that box has been placed on top of the other document. So the birth certificate, certified copy of an entry, has a big box on it. So if you take that box off, that box has 17 boxes or 10 boxes within it, depending on when you were born. Yours will have 17 boxes, all within one big box. You take that off, and you're left with a completely blank document with no information on it other than certified copy of an entry, a bank number at the top. Basically, it's got a number which will be different on every one that you order, with 3 letters. At the bottom, it says, warning, this is not evidence of identity, because the four corners rule is in play, and that is a blank document. It's just had your birth particulars superimposed onto it. So
and the only signature on the document is the birth registrars, the superintendents. So they're the one who can claim off that share document lawfully.
You've got 2 names on it, and you've got 2 dates on it. You've got the name, and you've got the surname, and you've got a date of birth, and you've got a date of registration. One is for the debtor, one is for the creditor. But it's a legal document. So the question is, how do we go? Because we can't get the certificate of name given. That's gone. That went over. It's handed over when we were born. We're not going to get that back. We know they exist. Robin Nest Egg Blue. Where they're kept, we can speculate.
The Vatican, I've heard.
This is what I've heard, but we're speculating, okay? So what we're saying here is, how do you get a lawful certificate for your name, which would be a certificate for your name with no boxes on it, where you could examine to all 4 corners, and you'd have but essentially you would own that name, because you're not
recognized in law. They're scared of it in legal because they won't accept it in legal. You have to go and convert it first.
Yep.
Before you can even carry it into legal, you have to go and convert it first. But it's recognized in law, and they can't accept it in legal. That gives you a superseding upper standing, basically, over every document on the face of the earth, because now you have a lawful name.
Any idea what that might be, Chris? I
haven't got the foggiest.
You'll bite your arm. It's very. I'll lift the veil now. So, and obviously, this is all Carl's work. To be fair with you, he found this. So, when you go on to Companies House and you purchase your name as a limited company, and you set it up as dormant, you will get given a full Crown title deed for your name as a limited company, and it takes you into the private. It says private limited company. It has your name. You now own the full Crown title deed for your name on a lawful document, the most powerful document you can get for the name in the whole of England and Wales. In that jurisdiction, there is no higher document, and it's lawful because there are no boxes on it, and it costs you £12.
The beauty about it, it allows you to be private in the public arena, whereas everybody's in the public arena. Do you see?
Yeah.
So the thing about it, every contract on the face of the earth is done with a man or woman acting as a implied director for another corporation. So your name, Chris, or my name, Carl, or Alex, our names, we're paying all the bills and everything for that. It's a company, but we don't own it. We can't prove the documents and show the documents that we own that company, and there's no contract with it. The moment we accepted our birth certificate is the moment that we created that implied company, and we accepted the contract and everything what was going on that United Kingdom Limited has set in place. So now we're just following the order of that because we're children. If you was to go into the bank now, Chris, with your birth certificate, and you was to try and get a bank account, who are you getting a bank account for is the question.
My legal fiction.
No, but who is it?
The government.
No, it's your child. You're still a child.
Yes, because you're deemed a minor, aren't you?
There you go. So even if you're 50, even if you're 60, 40, you're still a child because you're giving over the document which creates you as a child. When you go and get a company title deed, as Alex just stated, from Companies House and you claim your name, remember, when you go into Companies House, you can buy off-the-shelf companies, yeah? You understand that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so yeah, so if certain companies go under or they're just sitting there and people have created names, they're just sitting there on the shelf. Basically, that's your name sitting on the shelf. So other companies can go in there and choose to pick battles with you to say, right, I'm going to go and send you a contract to see if you want to take on this. or you want to, like Zipcar, Zipcar, all these cars, what's going around.
Mm-hmm.
When I got my company, Zipcar was one of the companies that wrote to me asking me to have a contract because they wanted me to use their cars and stuff. But they didn't write my name in all capitals as the corporation name. They wrote it in uppercase and lowercase. The reason they did that is because there's no contract. Once there's a contract, then they write your name in capital letters and put it forward to the company. So any letter with your name in uppercase and lowercase, there is no contract with that entity they're writing to. If your name's written in capitals, that means there is a contract. But sometimes when you're receiving your letters in this uppercase and lowercase, you accept them letters because you don't realize the contract has run out after 12 months or 18 months. This is why,
like a phone bill.
There you go. When was the last time you had a phone contract, or do you just do it over the phone and they send you a new phone?
I think we do it over the internet.
There you go. But you don't sign any paperwork or you don't do any contracts. Paperwork, right? Just this is what I'm saying to you. So they can write to you in uppercase and lowercase because there is no contract. It's just a verbal contract. There was no written paperwork to it. And they're giving you a phone for temptation. They're saying, come and get this phone and come and get this contract and we'll exchange your phone for another 12 months or whatever. And they get you wrapped in for paying for something that's free.
They do fool you by putting things like Miss and Mr. in front of your name.
That's just a title.
Isn't that military?
It's a contraction.
It's Navy.
Yeah. Navy.
Okay, look at it this way. Do you know what your passport is and what it is for?
Doesn't the P stand for pauper?
No, forget what the letters stand for within it. Let's look at what the passport is first.
Your entitlement to travel.
No, it's a war contract. Your passport.
The legal definition.
It's a commercia belli. It's called the commercia belli, and it's a war contract. The passport is actually for your ship. There's two names in your passport.
Your citizenship.
Your surname is your ship. And then your Christian name underneath would be for the captain or the master. But because you are still under United Kingdom Limited, you are a master. Now we've taken ourselves out of United Kingdom Limited, we become the captain. So now and it all goes back to merchant law. As you said earlier on, it's all about the Navy and, do you see?
Maritime.
There you go. And commercial law is all maritime law. But what most people don't know, who's running around teaching all this legal rubbish, is that common law and commercial law was merged back in 1750 by Lord Mansfield. So there is no, and what's law on the land?
Land, air, and water.
Right. So it's common law. What's common law? Is common law?
It's supposed to be on the land law, isn't it?
Common law is a legal system set out by King William back in 1066. And that went his law from Normandy, because remember, he was from Normandy. So he brought his laws in, set them through Wessex, Dane, and Mercia. He set the laws through there, but he went round to all the different towns and set his laws. And that was the Lex Mercator, well, the common law. And all that law went into all the courts for the men and women on the land. So if there was any disputes, they could go into them courts and go under the law. That was the common law to each man and woman, what King William said. But then on the same side, in 1200, the merchants of the sea was bringing in product from Europe and international. But all the merchants had their own body of rules, which was called the Lex Mercatoria, the law merchant. And that was their common law. So you might have men coming from Spain and France and Italy and Germany and Greek or whatever, and all of them meet in a certain location, but they all stand under their own common ground, which is the common law of their way. But that was commercial law because it had nothing to do with the law of the land. But in 1750, Lord Mansfield merged both of them. That's where we're in the problem now, because we can be the merchant as well, but nobody's standing up to take charge of their ship and see the cargo on their ship so they can trade as a merchant themselves. Do you see? Your passport, there you go. And that's all the information's in your passport. Because you go and look up the word passport will tell you it's for the ship. It's got the name for the documents of the captain or the master. It understands what the cargo is, how much cargo's in there, the weightage, the tonnage, where the destination it's going. This is what your passport is. So if you don't know that, what is your passport, and you're giving that passport over to a bank, they can see everything in there. And you don't know what you've just given them. You've just given them your whole estate, unknowing that you don't even know what the passport is. And they can see all your cargo. Your cargo is your estate. It's everything what's being carried on your ship. And if you're the captain of your ship, because you've just gone and claimed your name from the crown, and you've got one full absolute title deed written on one entire skin, and it's got your name on it. And the depot office and the company's house office will tell you, you can now see this document as your new birth certificate. Mm. And it's got your name on it.
And a birth certificate obviously also is something that a ship needs before it can dock.
There you go. So you see, all of this ties in together. But we're not, all we seem to be doing, we seem to be getting drawn in and getting distracted by the legal. Most people, and then we get this, there's a black card, and that gets thrown at us. So that distracts us away from the truth of understanding what they're doing with the language. They're deceiving us with the English language by writing our names in capital letters and allowing us to believe that it's a name rather than an acronym in English as we started this program.
That's incredible.
Do you see?
So does that include things like your council tax then?
Everything.
Where there's no signature.
Go on, Alex.
So if it seems okay, so some people this might seem a bit confusing and a bit all too very convenient. Oh well, they're talking about a limited company, and it could be anything. It fits because it's a limited company. Okay, so let's go back to contract law and the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is a country, and it is also a company. It's on Companies House, United Kingdom Limited, as is England Limited and City of London Limited. In contract law, as we mentioned at the beginning, there can only be a contract between two of the same kind. So it would stand to reason that we would need to be a corporation, a company, to exist, be seen, heard, do anything at all in the United Kingdom Limited. If you want to go down to Sainsbury's, if you want to go to your corner shop, if you want to go on a flight, how can they interact with you on a contract basis if you're not a company? Because they're a company. And contract law states only two of the same kind. So sentient being and sentient being, man and man, woman and woman, company and company can all do business. Alex can't go to Sony Limited, but Alex Limited could go to Sony Limited. The difference is they never told you were limited. They capitalized your name fraudulently. It's an implied company. You see these words come up a lot in their words and in their realm, their language. You'll often see words like implied and expressed. So when you put a limited after your name, Chris Limited, you're now expressed as a limited company. If it doesn't have it after it and it's written in capital letters, you are being an implied company. So it's a bit like...
And what that means, sorry, Alex, and what that means there is that you've basically just taken ownership and charge of your name, and now the United Kingdom isn't in charge of your name anymore. Most people attach their self to their name, so they think it's the government's got charge of me. No, they haven't got charge of you. They've got charge of the name what was given to them by your parents in the beginning. You've just gone along and claimed that back from the king, what your parents gave over. Because on the certificate of name given, what Alex mentioned earlier on, the certificate of name given was your baptism certificate. Whether you was baptized or not, you were still given a Christian name. So you had to be given a certificate for that Christian name. So what happens, there's two signatures on that document, and it's a lawful document because there's no boxes on it. It's written on one page, written on light blue paper, which is the robin nest egg blue paper of the church, the Vatican. The officiating minister signs that document, then they send it over to the registrar. So you're getting one from ecclesiastical court in England, then it send it over to the birth registrar in the United Kingdom. They're getting a signature from the superintendent registrar. That's two wet ink signatures on one document, proving that as a lawful document because there's two wet ink signatures on it and it's got your information on it. Then they send that over to the Vatican. So the Vatican hold that. The only way you're going to get your name back lawfully is if you go and get it from the Crown, Royal Court of Justice, as an enrolled depot and get your name written in uppercase and lowercase so it can be read and written as an English word. And then after 5 years, getting your enrolled depot done, it goes into the National Archives. And
I'll tell you,
your name ain't in there at the moment.
No. I mean, the Royal Court of Justice writes to you. Sorry, go on, Carl.
No, I'm just saying it won't ever be till the day you die. No one's name will be in the National Archives when they die because they're all under United Kingdom Limited. My name is going to be in the National Archives in another 2 years because I've done my enrolled depot back in 2021, 22. So now my name's being recognized. It's being put in the Gazette, same as Alex, same as Tegan, same as another 50, 100 people behind us doing that. So their name's going to go into the National Archive and they're going to be recognized. So wherever they go on the face of the earth, hey, my name, I don't even have to carry identification on me because you could just look at the National Archives. There's my name. There's my address and there's my name.
So what happens with, like, I don't know, if you get stopped by the police?
I'm not a custodian. I'm not a custodian of United. Remember, United Police act as two entities. They act as constables for England and Wales, or they act as officers for corporations. Now, the United Kingdom is basically United Kingdom Limited, and it's got a Parliament, which is an organization, corporation, board of directors, and the police are doing work for them, and they're getting paid for it because that's just another corporation. So they can only look after the custodians who hold birth certificates. They can't touch people who hold enrolled depots or limited company documents because
But the average policeman who stops you for, I don't know, whatever reason, any misdemeanor, they're not educated in this, are they?
No, but the thing about it, they are in a certain degree. It depends on how you speak to them. That's the problem. If you don't know your knowledge and you're not aware of something, it's how you speak to them. If somebody pulls you over for driving, you turn around to him first of all, you say, what capacity are you standing in? If they ask you for your name, you give them your company number, like they give you their number. Right. Do you see?
Okay, yeah.
First of all, you got to prove to me that I'm working for DVLA if you're calling me a driver, because a driver is one employed. And if I'm employed, then give me that in writing to say that I'm employed by DVLA so I can collect my wages. How are they going to argue in court with that?
Not very easily.
This is the thing. So if we don't know what we're talking about and we don't know what we're saying and we're getting confused with all this legal rubbish, what all these lot are doing. I mean, like I had one of the guys on the Patreon page earlier on message me and say, I just listened to this talk, blah, blah, blah. This is so simple. Everything what we're doing is just simplified. You don't need to do. Why are you doing legal if you don't have a corporation? The difference between legal and law is that legal is only for corporations. Law is for men and women. Legal is only for corporations. So if you're doing legal, it means you're only doing legal for an implied corporation or an express corporation. If you're doing legal for an implied corporation, that means you don't own yourself. If you do legal for a limited company corporation, then what's the problem? Because it's your limited company and you're going into a contract with another director. You're not going to go and sit down with a secretary and do negotiations of a contract between two limited companies. But you can do that with the implied, because every time you go and speak to the desk, you're speaking to the receptionist. You're not speaking to the director, but you're the director of the implied company paying the bills.
Yeah. So forgive my ignorance. Is there a difference then between you being a limited company and you being a corporation?
Totally.
Okay, because I was always led to believe if you was a limited company, you're like, say, for example, LSB Film Productions.
Yeah.
If I went as a limited company, I am then more liable for anything as opposed to being a sole trader.
Totally.
Yeah.
Go on, Alex.
Yeah, I was going to say that this is so the limited, when people hear the words limited company, they automatically kind of revert to a limited company. So a limited company would be something that you went and purchased and you then started floating it in the sea of commerce around with the United Kingdom on the United. In fact, you bolt it to the United Kingdom. So you're floating in its waters, you're doing commerce, you're in motion. So now you're subject, because you're trading, to all the legislation, acts, everything. You've got to pay all your taxes and whatnot. What we do is you buy the name as a limited company. You don't become a limited company. Your name becomes a limited company, but you make it dormant at the very moment you set it up. It doesn't go in the water even once. So you're taking it out of the water. It isn't trading. So unlike a company, which would be trading and subject to all these rules and regulations, this name has become limited and it's been taken out of the water. So it doesn't engage, you don't ever trade it. It doesn't engage in commerce. And because it's dormant, it's like literally surrounding it in marble. No one can do contracts with a limited company that is dormant. Any contracts that existed before for an implied company, well, when you express the entity as a dormant limited company, anything that happened previous with an implied company that wasn't limited, well, that disappears. That company name dies, because you can't have Nike and Nike Limited, Sainsbury's and Sainsbury's Limited. The limited will always supersede and override the non-limited entity. So Chris, once you've got Chris Limited, Chris doesn't exist anymore. You're the only one that owns it. And because it's dormant, there can't be any contracts, because it's like you put you mentioned the citizenship. So you've taken your ship now and you've docked it. You've put a nice rope around it. It's steady, it's sturdy, and you put an executor on the door. Now, an executor is a stalemate. No one gets on that ship anymore. Only you, if you want to. You know, everything that's going on with that business, it's all yours. No one gets on, and nobody can do anything with it. No contracts. It's game over. So it just basically protects you unless you choose to make contracts. And you can, not with the limited company, you can go and do that as the implied company. So you can still, people say, will this affect my day-to-day life? Will it affect my benefits? Will it affect this? No, it won't affect anything at all. Not unless, how would they ever divulge it to you? They would have to admit the fraud, which they will never do. So you just sit there knowing that your name is protected. Absolutely. There can't be any contracts with it. It's brand new and it's never traded. Moving forward, it's never going to trade. So there aren't going to be any contracts. If you want to go and do contracts as an implied company, like you want your internet or you want your TV, you've still got your driver license, you've still got your passport. You can step in and out. This is what this is about. It's about choice. So rather than people coming and saying, you owe me this, you choose whether or not you're dealing with these contracts, because most of them are with the implied.
It is mind-blowing, isn't it?
It is mind-blowing, but I think it's mind-blowing because it's so simple and people don't they think, and also because there's a lot of people out there that charge to do a lot of things. When I came across Carl, he was not charging. It was all on YouTube. But people came along and they started taking it and selling it. So he took it off of there and he put it onto a Patreon group because people were using the information. And it was never charged for. This is free information, and thank God he started talking about it, and I came across it because it absolutely changed my life. It becomes quite a spiritual thing, because what happens is, as you move through it, it doesn't really, as much as it teaches you about what they're doing to us, it also teaches you what you are not, and you are not your name. We are the vessel. They see us as a vessel. When you look at the legal terminology and the lawful terminology in the law dictionaries of what a vessel is, and it carries all
You're
these
even
different
born
things.
down the birth canal, aren't you?
Absolutely. And we can float on water. Our skin is waterproof. So they say, like, what is a ship? Well, a ship is a vessel, but it doesn't just pertain to a ship. There's all sorts of vessels when you look at what the lawful meaning of it is, and they look at us as the vessel, and we carry the soul. So
it's incredible. And you reckon, you say it's £12 to have your name?
So what happens is when you're born, what you should be doing, really, and the royals always get their children christened really, really quickly. You're supposed to go back to the church every year because you're going back to do a confirmation statement, like you do a confirmation statement for a company every year. But we were never told that. So our parents didn't take us back to do confirmation statements year on year. Same price as a confirmation statement at Companies House, incidentally. But we never went back, and that goes back to the Sestra QV Trust and all of, not the trust, the Act, where they said, if you go missing from the domicile for 7 years, you're lost, delinquent, dead at, lost at sea, dead, whatever. It turns you into a dead entity, which is also what a company is and a ship is. Again, it all sort of circles back round to each other.
And
so
this is like the 12-bar guild presumptions of law, isn't it?
Gosh, it goes above my head. I mean, the first thing I did was when I bumped into what Carl was teaching, and it resonated with me. I listened to a lot of stuff about the strawman and whatnot, but it didn't really resonate. This did, because it's true. I spent a lot of time trying to pull it apart, and no, I couldn't do it. But it's no, it's so simple. You've got the money for the company, which you pay once a year, which is like £12. The company also can, if you wish to, buy a trademark, which is 170 quid for 10 years. But the trademark means anyone using that name to engage with you in commerce is without your express permission. Well, that's criminal, So then they're engaging with you in commerce to make money for their company using your property, the company's property. So you buy the trademark.
That work? Because I imagine, like, with the copyright bit, and forgive me,
not
because
copyright,
I am really
not copyright, trademark.
Sorry, because
There's
I am
the
ignorant.
difference.
But
No.
obviously, Chris Brooks or Christopher Brooks, although it's spelled differently, there's still going to be hundreds of Christopher Brookses. And
do you have a middle name?
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people go, oh, there's going to be loads. When you start using the middle name, which actually there's a whole other thing when you do the enrolled depol, you connect the Christian name and the middle name with a hyphen because
like Russell
we're not
J.
supposed
Gold.
to. Yeah, we're not
you've only
supposed
got
to
one
have
name.
middle names.
You've
so
only
you're
got
supposed
one.
to be... Go on, Carl.
Yeah, no, I'll just say you've only got one name. So the names you have to be joined together to create that one name. Right. And then your surname is a separate name because the surname is a patronymic, which is like Smith or blacksmith. You would have taken the surname of the job what your father was doing, for example. Oh, that's blacksmith's son, and that's the carpenter's son, and that's how the names came about, carpenter or blacksmith and blah blah blah, with the surnames in a certain sense. People only had Christian names. That's why they give
you the surname. What is it out of? It's customary. Is that the word they use?
It's just customary. It's customary. Yeah.
So when you're born, you're like baby surname. They just give it to you because it's custom.
That's why if you look on the baptism certificates came first, and then if you look at all the birth certificates before April 1969, all the birth certificates only had Christian names on it. They didn't have their surname in their Christian name box like people born from 70 onwards. If you were born 1969 onwards, then you will have 17 boxes on your birth certificate. And in the name box, in box 2, you'll have your Christian name and your surname. But all the birth certificates before 1969 would have 10 boxes on their birth certificate, and they won't have a surname in their name box. Their mother and father will, but they won't. But that then doesn't allow the government or any company to have a true contract with them because they don't have a true legal name. You have to have a true legal name Your true legal name is your Christian name and a surname put together. That's why every time you use your birth certificate, you're using a fraudulent legal name, because it doesn't say Christian name and surname on that document. It only says name and surname. When you look at your baptism certificate, it says Christian name and surname, but they won't accept the baptism certificate neither, because it's a lawful certificate. So they won't accept it for identification. Do you see the difference? You've got the birth certificate, which is a fraudulent, well, it's not fraudulent, it's a legal certificate. And then you've got the baptism certificate, which is a lawful certificate. But they won't accept the birth certificate for identification.
This is only facts, what Carl's talking about here with the names. People might go, oh, Christian name, Christian name and name. But when you look in the law dictionary, which Carl does, study groups, you will see that name and Christian name have different definitions, which is what he's pointing out there. And that's not him going on name and Christian name. No,
I'm just speaking from everything I'm speaking is facts from the research and study, and just from their own legal dictionaries. Okay, let's take it. Let's look at this one, Chris. The word bicycle, a motorbike. Mm-hmm. Right, a motorbike the word motorbike doesn't exist in the legal is an English dictionary. Oxford Dictionary if you got a Mac, go on the Oxford Dictionary in the dictionary and type in motorbike. It won't exist. It'll come up as motorcycle.
Yeah.
Now, motorcycle is in the Black's Law Dictionary, motorcycle is a bicycle with a gasoline engine. Now, DVLA, when they give out their logbooks and their V5s for a motorcycle, on their tax class, they write bicycle in capital letters. So a motorcyclist is riding a bicycle from the DVLA. That's what they've labeled it. But you go and look up the word bicycle written in all capital letters in the Black's Law Dictionary, and I'll be waiting until 10 years, 15 years time, life, for you to find that word, because it's not even in there.
Is that a bit like a car and conveyance?
Well, yeah, you got on the DVLA, they call it a petrol car or a diesel car on the logbook. But the thing about it, a vehicle is the word vehicle is the category for carriage. That's what the word vehicle is. When you go and look at Black's Law Dictionary, the word vehicle is for carriage and transportation. So the word vehicle is for transportation. But what kind of transportation are you using? So the DVLA put that correctly. They write down petrol car or diesel car. But you go and find them words in Black's Law Dictionary, and half the time you won't find them. Bicycle, what they write down for a motorcycle, is not in the Black's Law Dictionary. So how can they use a legal word on a legal form where it's not even existence in their language, in legal language? It's not even there. Do you see? These are the games they play, but we're too distracted to notice, because we're trying to be like the neighbors. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. Do you see what I'm saying? Everybody's trying to live their life.
The Joneses.
You see, and that's the thing about it. Most people, they want to get ahead in life, but the government and the system is holding us down and suppressing us. So most people are out there running around committing crimes. And you're finding people who don't commit crimes.
It's gone really down now.
All right, sorry. I'm not sure there. Sorry. I don't know.
I'm just fiddling with
signal.
Making sure it's not. Oh no, it's me.
There's
a loose cord on here. Sorry.
No, that's cool. But yeah, I mean, that's the problem. Sorry, Alex, you was going to say.
No. It's just, I mean, it's all running parallel. Well, it's just trying to sort of, if people are wondering what this essentially does, going back, it's just taking yourself out of the public. I like the analogies. We've got a couple of analogies. The one that you mentioned about citizenship at the beginning, we were bolted to the ship. You're basically going and taking your ship back. That's what you're doing. And you're taking it out of the water, which is where all the commerce and trading happens. And you're just making it, you're protecting it. It's like Carl said before, it's like putting the arm of God around you. You choose now. This is about choice. If you want to go and have a contract, go get one. If you don't want it, don't worry about it. Remember, they're always going to have to write to you with a contract in capital letters. They have to. They can't write it any other way when there's a contract, two of the same kind. So once you express the limited, that's it. They can't. They'll use it. They'll still try it, but you have to. I think this is important. Actually, I wanted to say this earlier. You have to recognise who your answer, what name you're going to answer to. So
know who you are.
Know yourself.
You got to know yourself. Know who you are, man.
C. Brooks. C is not a name. You know, like you should only answer to talk one name. That's it. You sort out who you are. A lot of people, they don't even know who they are. I'm saying, what's your name? They're like, oh, this. Oh, no, it's that. Oh, what? It's like, do you actually? How many names are you going to take full responsibility and liability for? Is the question, because they'll write to you about 20 different ways. But, so you need to be very specific about it. If someone's writing to you, who you open in, you want to commit mail fraud, don't open something that's not addressed to you. And so now, if it comes in capital letters, if it hasn't got limited after it, then that's returning to sender.
And this is the important what Alex is saying about the documentation. The thing about it, we only have one name. So if my name's John Henry Doe, and it can only be written in a certain way in English, I'm going to go to and get that as an enrolled depot, and I'm only going to recognize as that because the king recognizes me as that. If the king recognizes me as that, that's all I care about. I don't care about any other limited company. I don't care about any government, because the government is under the monarch, which is the king. So the king gave me my name. So there's no competition there. If I then want to go and do trade in United Kingdom limited waters, I can go and get myself a limited company. And I choose the name, which I already have as my limited company, to cancel out all contracts, what's already out there or maybe out there. And I can start afresh again. And that's the thing. And they allow you to do it.
How have you, because I know people at the moment are really desperate to stop their illegal paying council tax, especially when it's funding illegitimate wars and things.
They're doing it to themselves.
Yeah. How do you go about stopping it without the repercussions?
Well, that's the thing about it. You're only putting as I said to you in the beginning, Chris, it's like you're not going to pay bills for McDonald's.
No.
So if your name's McDonald's, you're not paying their bills. If your name was McDonald's, are you going to turn around and start paying the bills? No, you're not. Do you see? That's the problem. People are doing it to themselves. You're doing it to yourself, Chris. That's the thing about it. I'm not here to try and convince you to do anything. I'm not asking you to go and do anything. I'm just making you aware and giving you a bit of knowledge for yourself to understand that, look, how can you have a contract with British Gas? You can't. Another company can, yes, but that company is Chris. They've given that name Chris as an implied company. Now the company, you're the director of Chris, but you're paying the bills for Chris as the director. You don't have to pay the bills for Chris because some other director can come in and pay the bill for Chris. Do you see? I can go and be the director for Alex's company. Alex can be the director for my company. I don't have to be the director, but the name still exists. You're the one who's attaching yourself to the name, and you're keeping that name alive in a legal sense. It's implied. If you want to keep that name alive, then go and claim it from the Royal Courts of Justice as an enrolled depot so you can have it as a lawful certificate, and it's stamped in the day of our Lord. No other legal document is stamped in the day of our Lord. That's a lawful stamp you're getting in the day of our Lord. And that gives you your lawful name. That separates the wheat from the chaff, as they say.
Watch this, Chris. Watch this. I could go tomorrow, and I don't worry about giving me your full name. I could go tomorrow and I could buy Chris Brooks Limited, right? Mm-hmm. I set it up as a dormant company, and I keep my crown title deed at home, right? Next week, you get a bill through your door to Chris Brooks in capital letters from the council for council tax, right? And you send it to me. And I look at that and I go, right. First of all, there's no limited after it, so I'm going to return it to sender. However, given that I know that's an implied company, and my question to the council would be, not that I would engage with them, because that would get returned to sender because it's not addressed correctly. It doesn't say limited after it. Now that Chris Brooks doesn't exist anymore because I've got Chris Brooks Limited. So straight away I'm not opening it. But how are they having contract with the limited company? They haven't got it. They're not going to write to limited because they haven't got a contract. And if they did write to limited, well, the question then beckons, where is the contract? Because if there is no contract, there is no debt. But they're going to write to you. You can't have a contract with you, Chris. You can't have a contract with the council because you're a living man. So they've got to incorporate.
Sorry, Alex. Chris, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
What's the two highest companies that all companies have to go to?
I'm probably going to be really ignorant here, but I would say something like Inland Revenue.
Okay, that's one.
Oh, I'm glad I got one right.
No, that's perfect. Because every company has to go to HMRC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's the other company they got to go to? They've got to go to Companies House to get the company to start. Yeah. They're the two highest companies in the land. Now, if Companies House can write to you as your company correctly, Chris Brooks Limited, and HMRC can write to you correctly as Chris Brooks Limited. Yeah, them two companies are the highest companies in the land, and them two companies can write to you correctly. They've just given you fact. If anybody or any other company does not follow suit, you can return to sender it because HMRC can write correctly and Companies House can write correctly. Why can't you?
Splendid point. Yeah.
Do you see? If Companies House has to send you your authentication code and your certificates and stuff, they're sending them to your limited company, Chris Brooks Limited. If HMRC needs to send you a new tax number, which is your UTR number, which is the adult number instead of the national insurance number for the child, they've got to write to Chris Brooks Limited. They're not going to write to Mr. Chris Brooks. Do you see?
Yeah, no, that's really good.
But now, the thing about it, there's 3 people when we was having the earlier calls, they went and bought their limited companies. One of them had a debt of £7,000 with HMRC. One of them had a debt with £27,000 HMRC. And one of them had a debt with £10,000 HMRC. They went and bought their limited company. There can only be one company. Companies House will only allow one company. All them debts were wiped. Because they just superseded and overwritten the child's name with the adult name. Now the adult is there to take charge. The child couldn't take charge of itself, so the HMRC and the government and the councils and everything was taking charge for it and looking after it as a child. But now you come back and claim the name as the adult name, as the limited, you're taking full liability and responsibility for that name does. That's why we make it dormant, so that we don't have to take full reliability and responsibility for the company name.
So how do you make a name dormant once you've bought the...
It's standard. You just, when you buy the limited company, a Companies House, you just say you're just making it dormant. You put 9999 as a SIC number. The SIC number is 9959. It's dormant company, and that's it. What happens? Companies House is in England and Wales. Then when you buy the limited company, that's your job done. The thing about it, Companies House then tells HMRC about it because HMRC is in the United Kingdom. It's not in England and Wales. It's in the United Kingdom. So they've got to know. So when HMRC finds out, HMRC sends you a UTR number, which is for an adult, not for a child. Your national insurance number is your tax number for a child. Your UTR number, unique tax reference number, is your tax reference number for the adult. There's the difference. You've just grown up. You've just switched your status from child to adult. Every time you get a letter now, you don't get Mr. on it. You get limited at the end.
You went from Mr. to limited. Now you will see Mr. is a contraction for the word marina, and a marina is a seaman, and you're aboard the United Kingdom limited ship.
There you go, as the purser. And that's what the P stands for in your passport, the purser, because you're the one who carries the purse, the seaman carrying the purse, doing all the duties of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
When you get the company passport, you get a C in there, deeming that you're a captain or a commander. Because it's all, as you say.
The limited after the name is the adult status. If you go onto Companies House and look up all the politicians' birth certificate names, you won't see Mr. Boris Johnson or Mr. David Cameron ever, but you will see Boris Johnson Limited and you will see David Cameron Limited.
Mm.
It's funny because I did notice with Labour back in the day, I can't remember the actual politician now, but it was his name limited.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But and when I looked at this, I didn't understand who it was, and I was listening to one of the Truth Talks, and someone brought it up, and I was like, "Oh, it's right there, right in my face." When you look up like Boris Johnson, right, I was looking up his name. This is back when I was beginning, and I looked it up, and I was like, "Okay, who owns him? Boris must own him." And I went in there, and there's a guy called David Coots at some strange road in Edinburgh or something. I was like, wow, "Who is David Coots?" And then I was listening to a talk, which was already there, but it takes me a while to get through them all. And obviously, David Coots is Coots Bank. So the politicians' names are owned by the banks. When we own our names, we own our names. And that is dangerous.
So their company names are owned by a company, which is the bank. But their real names will be given to them via the enrolled depot. So they will have a living entity man's name, what can be recognized by the king as their enrolled depot, but they'll have a company name that they can put in to act as a trading name for that, standing in that role and playing a rank in society, what the word person stands for. A man considered by the rank he holds in society, the word person. That's one of the definitions. The fifth definition is private person. An individual not incumbent to any office. So when you go and get your limited company, you're going getting a private limited company. So that means you're a private person. Takes you out.
You're not incumbent to the United Kingdom office.
Right, I'm really excited at this. Right, so just talk it through to me. You go to Companies House website. Mm-hmm. Do you type in your name or do you look for your name?
Yeah, just type in your name.
Yeah,
and then basically your name will come up if it's available, and then you go through the process of doing that. Then they'll ask you, do you want limited as LIMITED or do you just want LTD? Just so you can choose the version you want at the end. You don't need to write the limited at the end of your name.
Okay. Does that make a difference?
No, it doesn't really, but they put that on there for you. They put it on there for you at that. Okay. And you can write your name in anyhow. You can write your name in all lowercase. They will convert it into capitals because it's a corporation and all corporate names are in capitals. So they're going to convert your name anyway for the company name. Then they'll put the limited at the end of it. Yeah, Alex has just posted something in the group there.
I've given you that's the Companies House search. So you can
you see.
I just wanted to say something before I forget. Sorry. Carl was saying about so Companies House will write to you in the correct way. They'll write to Chris Limited, right? Then you get HMRC writing to you in the correct way again. Chris Limited, they may put your name, the director above it in capital letters. The third thing that we do, which you've heard us talk about, is the enrolled depot. Now, you've got the limited company, which is the full crown title deed, the lawful document for the name. That's the highest document you can get for the name in England and Wales. Then you get the trademark, which we also spoke about. That gives you the highest standing document you can get for the name in the United Kingdom. Now you go to the Royal Courts of Justice and you get the final piece of the puzzle, which actually we often say you should go for it first now. But what you get there is you get the Royal Courts of Justice. Now, when you fill out an enrolled depot name change deed, you fill it out exactly how you want your name written. So you do it uppercase, lowercase, you hyphenate any middle names and attach them to the first name, and you make the capital letter at the beginning and the capital letter on the surname and all lowercase. When that goes to the Royal Court, They stamp it, like Carl said, and the stamps are out of this world. Okay, so you get your stamp from the Queen's Bench, and it's been, logged and everything. And at the bottom, like you said, it's got this, like, in the year of our Lord stamp. It's crazy. In the Royal Courts of Judicature and all this, you've never seen a stamp like it. Who says in the name of our Lord? Because they're stamping it, and it's ecclesiastically done as well. So now, when they write back to you, the envelope that arrives at your house and the cover letter, it'll have your deed poll that you originally wrote in ink, stamped. They keep a copy of it. It'll have a cover letter saying, here's your enrolled deed poll. Now, at the top of that, it's letter-headed up, Royal Courts of Justice, Enforcement Division, all official, the Strand, London. On the top left, it will say Chris, sorry, surname again?
Brooks.
Okay, and your middle name as well. It would actually be hyphenated first and middle together now in your surname. So Chris Brooks will be written at the top. There'll be no Mr. It'll be uppercase and lowercase. They will write to you exactly as you put on your enrolled deed poll. So now you have the highest company, so everyone goes to Company's House, right? In England and Wales. Everyone goes to HMRC in United Kingdom. Now you've also got a document from the Royal Courts of Justice saying this is how your name is spelt. There's no Mr. It's uppercase and lowercase, and it's grammatically correct. So
and
now,
not a lot of people have got that.
Nah, man. And how can anybody argue with that? Sorry, mate. Royal Courts of Justice.
That supersedes every other name on the planet you've had.
Game over. Game over.
That's incredible. So then my only question would be there then. So when, I don't know, if you were to say you wanted to act as a company, or how did you say it? A company implied. So
you're on about the implied company.
Yeah,
just
if you wanted a mobile phone and you're filling out the forms and it gives you Mr. and Mrs., what do you type? Because some of these forms don't give you any more options than...
Do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want, man.
Because no one's telling you can't function in that world. You can still function and do your everyday thing. But the thing about it is, like, it's up to you then to decide what you're going to allow to come through as the implied if you're limited. Because then you got a choice. If you want to pay your phone bill, you can pay your phone bill. If you don't want to pay your council tax, you don't have to pay your council tax. You have the choice now. You are in the power. The power is in the people's hands. You have the choice. There's no contract with anybody on the face of the earth. You can't even go on an aeroplane and go on holiday to sun your skin. It's an implied company going to do that. You can't even do it. It's funny, you see.
It's incredible, yeah.
You think you're going on holiday, but you're not.
But with the council... With the council tax, you mentioned this a few times because obviously it is quite a bugbear with people. See, people just think that there's a couple of approaches that people do. They go, first of all, they go, I'm not paying it. And then they just ignore everything. Like, no. Okay, you don't want to pay it, fine. We're not saying do this, but this is what I would do and did. Limit myself, make myself dormant. So now there's no contract. Now, because there's a company at play, you've got to be, like the United Kingdom was your parent company.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm my own company, so I'm going to do my paperwork. When a bill comes through the door, I'm going to put returns. I don't even write on them no more. I just put if it's an important one and I've got an idea of what it is, I might put this has been logged, and I put dates on them always. And I got a little stamp that I ordered up, and it just goes, addressee not known, whatever, blah blah. It's got a little spiel that goes on it. Wrong addressee, whatever. No, addressee not known. Please amend your records. All this jazz. And you've got, what I do is I take a photograph of it. I send it to my email, I file it away, and I put a little date heading on it, and that goes back in the post box, because then it goes to the dead letter office where it's processed and it's logged, and it's part of a system. You can't just ignore. You can just ignore them, but at your peril.
Get the bailiffs.
Well, who are the bailiffs looking for? They're looking for an implied company again. So again,
and they're buying something what they don't know off the council or somebody that aren't telling them.
Yeah. And when you go limited, you get a little plaque for your door, and it will say Chris Limited on it. Now, anyone comes to the door and you choose to answer the door, because you don't have to answer the door, but if you choose to answer it, I'd like to speak to Chris. Okay, You've got to remember, you might as well just think in your head they're asking to speak to Aldi or Sainsbury's. Okay, you want to speak to Sainsbury's? Yeah, no worries. Who would you like to talk to?
That's it.
Oh, I want to speak to Chris. Okay, that's a limited company. There's the company title there's the company on the door. Who would you like to talk to? Oh, Chris. Oh, well, we think you're Chris. What's your name? That's private. None of your business. Who would you like to talk to? That's a company. Go and have a look on Company's House. They haven't done their due diligence.
Okay.
And when they realise that they've got a limited company they're dealing with that's dormant, they're going away and they are not coming back. They're not coming back. What are they going to do?
There's no contract. There's no contract.
You know, it's all fear. They play on your fear. They play on your guilt.
And that's where it is. That's where it is. Perfect word. It's the fear, Chris. It's a spiritual warfare. Most people
100%
about it, but it's a spiritual warfare. I'm glad you said that. Do you know what I mean?
I'm always saying it's a spiritual warfare.
You see, and that's the thing about it. If we give into the fear rather than loving each other and allowing and waking people up, making people aware, giving people knowledge for free. I mean, like, we don't charge anything for this. We just we're trying to wake people up and say, look.
So is your Patreon free then?
Well, I tried to get it for free, but they don't do it. So I put the lowest tier, which is like £5 a month. You pay one parking ticket, you've just done me the whole year for one parking ticket in that certain sense. But all the videos and everything else are going to get all the information you need anyway. But again, all my stuff was free on YouTube. Right. But then, as I said earlier on, people started taking it, merging it with the legal, going selling it for $2-3 grand to people, breaking their pocket, then afterwards getting them into trouble, running away from it, and then pointing them in my direction to sort out their problems for them because they know I was doing it properly in that certain sense. Do you see? Now I've got to sort out people's problems who's paid out 2, 3, up to 25 grand to other people. And now they're coming to me, they're getting it for free. Now they're kicking themselves and they're looking for the other people. But these other people, they've run off, some living in Bali, some living there, do you know what I mean, in a certain sense. So, but this is the problem. That's why a lot of people, like what you said right at the beginning, when people are coming forward and talking about this affidavit rubbish, when you go and buy your limited company, you've just done your affidavit. Because you're standing up and saying, look, I'm taking full liability and responsibility for this name. Anybody's got anything to do with it, come and see me right now. And nobody will come because there ain't no contracts for it.
That's awesome.
Think about this, Chris. A lot of people come to me and go, oh, I'm putting something in trust. All right. I'm like, okay, so who's setting up the trust? And it's the legal entity. It's the capital letter name. When you buy the name and you own the name controls everything you own. So people running around thinking, oh, I got millions of pounds, I got my fat motors, a nice yard, everything's lovely, everything, Chris. Yeah. Go on to Company's House and see if they got their name as a limited company and it's dormant. Because if it isn't, then they're running around with a name that they have absolutely no control over whatsoever, taking full responsibility and full liability. You might as well jump in a race car, take the accelerator to the floor, shut your eyes, jump in and off you go.
There you go.
I mean, when would you do it? Oh, let's get on an aeroplane. We'll send it up in the air. It's remote control. Don't worry. When you get up to 50,000 feet, we're just going to cut everything, drop all the fuel, and bob your uncle. I mean, who's going to do it?
How much is this process then? It was 12 quid to change to do your name on Company House.
It depends what you want to do. The company ceases all contracts, right?
The most important things to do, the two most important things, get your enroll depot started, because that can take you up to a few weeks. Now we know that you can actually go.
Mate, me and Carl spent about a year and a half on that.
Yeah, no, definitely. But get your enroll depot started off and your company. They're the two main things you want to get. The depot, the decode will cost you £42 because that's just costing for that administration cost, and then you're paying for it to go in the Gazette because it's public notice then.
Right. Okay.
You see.
And what about the Royal Court of Justice? Is there a fee with that, or is
that is the whole thing. That's the enrolled depot. The enrolled depot goes through the Royal Courts of Justice, and that's £42.
Let me just say for the record as well, just so that this is very, very clear. I know Carl said it already, but okay, so at the moment, your name would be John Henry Doe. 3 words, all capital letters. Because you're making your correct, grammatically correct name now in English, you would have to change your name to, and you've got to go and tell everyone, by the way, you can still use John Henry Doe. That's fine, all caps, you're implied, fine. But your enrolled DPOL will become John Henry with a capital J, all lowercase OHN, then a hyphen to bring the words together, and then Henry will be all lowercase. So capital J, OHN, hyphen, HENRY, John Henry, 1 capital letter. Then the surname is separate, and that will be Doe, and instead of capital letters, it's a capital D, lowercase O and E. So that's there now, you know that. So don't go and change your name to Chris, whatever, Brooke, Chris something Brooks. You become Chris, whatever your middle name is, hyphenate it, bring it together, all lowercase with a capital C, and then Brooks is a capital B and all lowercase. That is your name done correctly. You've connected the Christian name. It's no more middle name, 1 Christian name and a surname. That is
so
correct.
My middle name is Anthony.
Mhm.
So that would be a lowercase a.
Yes.
Yep, you become Chris-Anthony. As far as your deep poll's concerned, Brooks is your surname, and you're changing the style and the name because you're bringing the names together, you see. When I did it, I was trying to change it to exact, because I've got a double-barreled surname and a Christian name. I was just trying to change it from capital letters to uppercase lowercase. They weren't having it. I ended up going back to my certified copy of an entry instead of my passport, which is 2 completely different names. My whole setup was a mess. There's going to be lots of people listening to this going, but I'm married, and when I was a teenager, I was this, and then I was that, and this is what we're saying. Know yourself. Who are you? Because if you haven't done an enrolled D poll, you are still your certified copy of an entry, birth certificate name in their eyes, but you're probably answering to other names, letters, all sorts of stuff. Know who you are, and then correct your status. This is a status correction, and you're going to get yourself tip top. And by its very nature of the process, you protect yourself on so many levels. They can't handle the paperwork. They can't handle it.
Perfect.
Dangerous.
No, that's
really
brilliant.
good.
Well, listen, I said it's going to be about a 20-minute.
No chance.
and we're nearly at an hour and a half.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Chris. Thank
I'd
you.
love to have you back on again another time, and I will put a link to your Patreon in the video description when it goes live, so people will flock, I'm sure.
Yeah, the thing about it, Chris, I mean, thank you for having that, because the thing about it is really the most important thing we want to get out there, just the awareness and the knowledge of this information. That's it. We don't want to sell it to people for like 2-3 grand. We're just saying, look, learn this, get to know yourself, who you are, what documents you have. Yeah, I don't have a name, Chris. I don't have a name. I was given a name by my parents to start with, but that wasn't given to me. It was given to the government. Yeah, I had to go and get a limited company name. Then I had to go and get a trademark name. Then I had to go to Royal Courts of Justice for that name in English to be given to me. So all the names were given to me, or I had to buy them. They were given to me, I don't have the name. I had to go and get the lawful documents to prove that I am the holder of that name, because I'm only a spirit in a body.
Yeah.
So the spirit don't have a name. So while it's in the body, I've got to prove that this spirit can use this name lawfully. So I've gone and got the lawful certificate for it. This is where the spirit meets the 3D.
Mental.
Well, we won't go. We could go to the next levels in another time. But your time,
definitely. I'll definitely have you back on.
Thank you.
I was a little bit put off by the no faces, but the information that's flowed has just been incredible. So Thank
I
you.
promise you, from what I've listened to on your channel, Chris, and I can't remember would it have been Richard Vobes that might have mentioned you? Would that have been right?
Yeah,
was
more than likely. Good old
yeah.
Vobesy.
Yeah, we've done a couple with Vobes, and he mentioned. I went on, I had a look at your channel, and I thought, well, fair dues. A lot of the things that you talk about and the way you talk about them resonated with me with the process we're doing, and I thought, you know what? If you don't know about this process, you're going to want to know about this process because it simplifies it all. It supersedes it all, and it doesn't cost the earth. And you asked the question earlier, how much is it all in? Just to summarise on that quickly, 12 quid on the company, that's yearly. You have to go back and tell them you're still alive and looking after it and it's dormant. The trademark, 170 quid, last 10 years.
But you don't have to do the trademark.
You don't have to. Don't have to.
Leave that for the last thing.
Yeah. And the Emerald Depot is £48 something and about a tenner to a family law solicitor who will basically notarize, sort of sign it all up for you before you go to the royal court. So all in 12 quid a year, and the Emerald Depot, as I say, about 60 quid, but that's only once and that lasts forever. So
perfect.
You know, you're not talking about a lot of money there, you know.
No. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time and your knowledge. Definitely have you back on again. Definitely try and get as many people over to the Patreon site. And I hope everyone who's watching this has gone away with their minds blown and hope in their heart.
They can listen back 3 times, don't worry.
I'm going to be listening back 3 times.
But yeah, no, definitely. Thanks, Chris. Again, as I said, I mean, like, if you when you posted it up or whatever, I'll share it on the Patreon group and everything else, so they all know where you are and get them to subscribe to you as well. Brilliant. You know, because you got a lot of good stuff on there as well. Do you know what I mean, bro?
Thank you, mate.
Yeah,
much appreciated.
Definitely, bro. And when we do get out there in the flesh, we'll actually sit down and have a proper interview with you, face to face.
Yeah, I'd love to. Love to.
But I understand well done for what you're doing, Chris, as well. You know, you are putting your face out there, and fair dues. If I wasn't in the positions that I'm in, I'd be on that. But you know, I have a feeling that one day, as Carl said, we're going to be out there and doing this. And but for now, it's just like this. So thanks for having us on as faceless. Yeah. I did show you my face. I am real. I'm not AI.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
All right, we'll leave you to
nice it. One. Thank you so much. Take care.
Cheers, Carl.
Cheers, Chris.
Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.